So we had some really important primaries going on in Kentucky and New York. Now, so far the Kentucky results, Johnny, I don't know if you can pull it up.
He'll be able to get it up because he'll be able to get rid of that toll. Yeah, the New York Times wants us to join up before they let us read their articles. There it is.
So that's just Biden, Bernie. But if you keep going a little bit further down,
we got to vote for Joe Biden.
You'll be right.
I mean, he's obviously the only one that can beat Donald Trump now.
Obviously, I mean,
It says McGrath is winning with 43.9%.
Yeah, she's winning right now, but there's still a lot of, from what I found out yesterday, there's still a lot of vote-by-mail ballots in certain counties that are favoring Booker to win. Now, if we know anything about election fraud, we're the ones that always talk about it because a lot of people don't talk about it enough. And we saw in Kentucky that they decided to close thousands of polling locations. And they did this at the last minute, of course. Now, I saw a lot of Democrats complaining about that, saying, oh, this isn't fair. We don't have democracy in this country. And it's just funny to me that they complain when it's a Republican doing it, but when it's their own party members, they don't complain at all. Mm-hmm. So that's, to me, I had to say something about that because to me it's like, well, what the hell? What do you think happened in the last two primaries with Bernie Sanders? I mean, how do you guys think that a guy that has the same political ideology as a lot of these congressional people winning lost so badly to a guy who has dementia, to a guy that wasn't even present during the entire race, to a guy that was literally like, that people were saying he's going to drop out soon because he has no chance.
Yeah, it was like he was the fifth place guy when Obama got on the horn and made Buttigieg drop out, the second place guy who was just barely trailing Bernie Sanders to what all the bullshit that was going on in Iowa and the way they were kind of allotting these delegates. Mm-hmm. But he was right on Bernie's ass. And for some reason, Obama got him to drop out and endorsed the guy who was in fifth place. Right. And then all shit broke loose in South Carolina. And it's kind of funny right now, fam, because where we're at right now, we have a special guest coming on Friday. It's a very deep, nuanced guest. If you don't know election integrity, it all starts with the computer hacking with this guy, Clint Curtis, out of Florida, your hometown, right in your backyard. A lot of shit went down. It didn't get a lot of attention, but here we come to fruition now, fam. Now it's not just about Republican parties, because that's the whole blame they were blaming. Oh, the Republican Party was fixing it for Bush and two elections.
Gerrymandering and stuff.
Gerrymandering and all the bullshit and the suppression and stuff.
Which is true.
Yeah. Back then, but then 2016 came around, and we saw all these situations happen when it came against Bernie Sanders in New York. Florida, with Debbie Wasserman Schultz came, it really shined the light on the picture that it's one big party. Both sides are cheating. The establishment, they work in cahoots together, guys. It's WWE wrestling. They act like they hate each other, but behind closed doors, they're best fucking friends, and they are, sorry, Mom, for cursing, they are best friends, and they are working hard to fix the elections to benefit each other. They work together. So right now, we're going to have Clint Curtis on the show. We're going to talk about open source. We're going to talk about hand counting, because there's a lot of things, fam. It might seem logical to just talk about hand counting, but there's other ways to cheat that. There's other systems to go and play. So this discussion we're trying to open up, and really what we're about to talk about right now, fam, when you get down to the nitty-gritty we talk about voter suppression. It's an all-out attack from all angles and all different things, from the software to holding the lines, to holding down polling places, to really, to beefing up the mail-ins. There's so many areas. But what Booker did yesterday, I was very, very happy about. But let you go on with your story, because when it comes to election integrity, we can go crazy with this whole situation. So.
Well, yeah, no, just Booker is an actual progressive, and McGrath spent millions of dollars on her race. Establishment Democrats all fell in line to support her. She is not somebody that I would necessarily vote for, but I have to say Mitch McConnell is one of the key people that, just like Pelosi and Schumer, has to be removed. I mean, they are the old guard. They are gatekeepers standing in front of anything progressive passing. And so I think Mitch McConnell has got to go. I don't think Amy McGrath is going to help necessarily, but I mean, he is far worse than Trump. I mean, people like to talk about Trump and how bad he is, and he is, but Mitch McConnell.
Yeah. Well, we've said it before. The two most dangerous people right now are, on the left, it's Pelosi and Schumer. On the right, it's McConnell. It's McConnell. He's the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You talk about a war hawk right there. You know what I'm saying? So he'll work with establishment Democrats when it comes to furthering the imperialism politics and the policy. So, I mean, yes, Amy McGrath is another one, though. Aren't these Democrats the ones who are really stopping real progressive change? Until they give over power or we take it from them, nothing's going to change. We won't be able to go after these Republicans like McConnell, but we got to get rid of these people right here, fam.
Exactly. And by the way, Amy McGrath also lost her home county to Booker, 44-39.
Yeah.
So it's really funny that she managed to lose that badly.
The next one.
Okay. And then Charles Booker said yesterday, we are on the verge of something big. We are making history.
Her story.
We are making history, her story, their story, our story in real time. The results are coming in and we are fired up. It may take a couple of days for the final vote, but we are ready to bring this home. Stay tuned. I am so damn proud of us. The fact that he even got this close to me is really telling in a state like Kentucky, which is very conservative as well.
This guy, I like him a lot. And I put in one of his speeches he had a little bit longer. When I always talk about the Democratic problems, the Democratic Party's problems, we talk about their marketing problems, the way they kind of frame things, their cliches, the way they talk about things. We're going to get into this pretty deeply. But I love the Fred Hampton and Mr. Charles Booker. And there's a little speech we got right over here, fam. Just look at the way he talks. It's all-inclusive. It's a rainbow coalition. And this is how you take down the establishment. You need people there. And that we have to really focus on what's coming in on the next couple of days. Because I hope Charles Booker really starts to peel back the banana of this election. If they try to cheat him, let's get in there. Let's get an autopsy. Let's bring public attention to it.
Well,
let's get an autopsy.
He did file an injunction
to
keep the polls open because they were closing the polls on people, and we're going to see that. That is so much more than what Bernie did.
Yes.
Bernie had the capacity to do that. He didn't do that.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that I like what I'm seeing with Booker is that he is willing to do that. To fight for every single vote. And also highlight election fraud, highlight the suppression, because right now what we saw in Kentucky was mainly suppression. I didn't see anything yet on the election fraud, but what I was seeing was polls being slashed in numbers, being shut before people could vote, people still in line wanting to vote. That is voter suppression. That should off the bat already not even be it should be a non-issue.
Yeah.
know?
And that's like, it's like an octopus attacking you.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be in the form of fixing the machines in the back, because they have proprietary software. And who picks these vendors? Like, who's close with these vendors? The Secretary of State. The establishment is close with the vendors. That's where the motive to cheat is coming from, and the actual people who are cheating, not Russia. But also, it's the mail-in situation, which if it comes down to the mail-in, I hope we peel back the banana on that one. But the suppression is big, too, as well, because, there's been this argument. I've been really holding on to this article because I don't know if it's 1,000% accurate, but I've always believed that the late voting is way more progressive.
No, yeah.
It's more of an event. Jamal Thomas talked about it. And they're trying to suppress that late vote by closing these polling places because they don't want young people going out and voting for somebody who's more progressive, who's going to help them, like a Charles Booker. And also, let's play this little video, fam. Watch this. A little Fred Hampton here. I like this guy.
We have so much in common. We are fighting so many of the same battles that if we stand together, all of us, all Kentuckians, no matter where you're from, no matter what you look like, no matter what pronoun you use, no matter whether you're walking or in a wheelchair, how much money you have in your pocket, whether your skin looks like mine or not, you matter. From the hood to the holler, we matter. This is about Kentucky. This is about us taking our future back. We can have good jobs. We can raise wages. We can support education. We can support public education. And if there's a teacher here, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your service. And I know as the rain comes down, Mitch wants to stop the show. Ain't nothing he can do to stop it. We have so much in
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's the message you want to have. That's the message you want to have. It's wherever you're from, whether you look like me or not, we got a lot in common. Let's go get him. I like Booker. I like him a lot. I like him a lot.
I really, it's neck and neck right now. Nobody has called it yet. Like we said, they're still receiving ballots, but we'll see what happens.
Everything he stands for, the way he's fighting for the integrity of the election to make sure everybody's vote counts, that's a great sign. You hear these speeches, and that's why this guy got a lot closer than anybody did to McGrath and taking down a prominent, Democrat like her.
And and let's watch a little bit from the MSNBC talking about the voting
Oh, your
thus
guy.
far.
This guy who's committed, he's lied before. Brian Williams, I believe his name is, and he's got this great voice. We are defined by the beauty of our weapons. Go ahead.
States holding primary elections today and tonight. Tracking the results for us this evening, our national political correspondent, Steve Kornacki at the big board. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Brian. So it's primary night. It's primary week in Kentucky in some of these places. Let me take you through what we know right now. This is the Democratic Senate race in Kentucky. The winner of this gets Mitch McConnell in the fall. What you see right now, a little less than 50,000 votes counted. Amy McGrath, we saw just a little bit more come in right there. Amy McGrath, a little bit ahead of Charles Booker. Now, what's happening here is a little complicated. The votes that you see counted right now, those are votes that were cast today, people who went out and cast ballots today. Some counties, the counties that you see colored in here, some counties have released those numbers. Other counties haven't. Those are the counties that are gray right here. So we have some of the vote that was cast today in Kentucky. And then there's another pile of votes, the mail-in votes. There are a lot of mail-in votes in Kentucky. They haven't gotten to those. They haven't touched those. We may not get those results for another week. So basically, the key here for Booker is he wants to keep it close in the results you have right here. So far, he is. Louisville, Lexington, these are the two population centers. Together, about more than a third of the vote is going to come out of these two places. If Booker can keep it close everywhere else and roll up big numbers in these places, that's his formula. Again, we'll see. This is going to play out, not hours. This is going to play out over days. The other story that's developing here, Brian.
Okay.
Normally, that would be, he would be like, his goose would be cooked. But with COVID, a lot of people switched to the mail-in. So
Right.
now you got a shot with the mail-in, but the fact that they're holding on to the mail-in, fam,
that's right away was like a worry to me.
That's it. I knew you would.
we don't know what they're gonna do with those votes. We have seen them keep mail-in votes, or we have found mail-in votes in Wisconsin in a tub, completely uncounted. So I am not trusting of the system right now. So I hope that he continues to monitor and fight for every single vote, and it looks like he will. I think he will. And I think the progressive movement is really, really behind him right now. So we'll all be watching closely.
Well, the validity of these mail-in twos are always a question and stuff. So,
Right.
I mean, usually
they can throw them out,
it's
too,
an old
if it's
school
not
Democratic
signed.
trick. You know what I'm saying? You get some fugazi people on these things. This is where the Democrats were always kind of like, You know what the Republicans do? They demonize the person himself and say, you're not eligible to vote. You're a convict.
Right.
You can't vote. You're an immigrant. You can't vote. You know what I'm saying? It's very racist in its core, when they do that shit, because they know it's more left-leaning Democrat. With the Democrats, it's more of a political ideology. They go after you. It's like, okay, you're a progressive. We're going to find a way to throw away your vote. You know what I'm saying? And that in turn is just as dangerous sometimes. It doesn't seem as awful, but it's the way the establishment keeps control.
Right.
And when the establishment keeps control,
It's more nefarious because it's hiding behind a mask.
It is.
So.
It is. It's very sinister in a way. So, let's see. So far, I like the way the guy's fighting. We'll see what happens. You have the updates. What's the injunction about? Fam?
Yeah, well, he just showed it. He was fighting for and he filed an injunction to
We
keep
did
the
show
polls
that.
open
All right.
because
Yeah. Okay.
they were trying to close them.
Poll issues.
Did you have something to say, Johnny? Okay. So, this is from Nicole Alexander Fisher. Half of Kentucky's black population was located in Louisville. Only one voting booth was open in Louisville, and it had shut and locked its doors on its voters before it was demanded to open up again. Outrageous and unacceptable. Again, people took to the internet. Booker was paying attention, and they managed to get those people to vote. But one poll booth in all of Louisville? Are you kidding me?
That's ridiculous. That's
That
ridiculous.
is insanity.
That's when they want to control the numbers. I know Jen Perleman's probably paying attention, and her campaign manager, to what's going on over here, because this is a fight that's right there, that one. This is a fight that's going to continue to go on. Wow, fam.
Okay, so this is a little video of the people right outside demanding to vote. Obviously, you can see a lot of all kinds of people, but a lot of also people of color. The doors of the Kentucky Expo Center closed at 6 p.m. People were stuck in traffic for over an hour driving to the center. Charles Booker filed an injunction to keep the polls open until 9 p.m., and a judge just granted the request. So the doors are now open, and he was like telling people, Yeah,
I mean, suppression on the front end. We saw it in California. Where were these areas where they had little machines and they were broken and had little workers at? The Latino areas in downtown in East LA. But you go to the ritzy areas and they're serving
There's
you
like nobody
tea
there.
with stevia, and they got 30 machines and 19 workers, and you know what I'm saying? They can bring you a pillow to, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you want. It's such bullshit. It's fucking racist at its core. Sorry, Mom. It's racist at its core. They were suppressing the Latino vote here in California. It was disgusting. And they're doing the same thing over there. That's the tricks. The late votes are going to be more progressive. So what do? You suppress. Exactly.
And also, by the way, the reason there's traffic and the reason they didn't get there on time is because there's one center in Louisville. So obviously there's going to be traffic because everybody's trying to get to one place.
And if you think about it, fam, like these older votes have been around. McGrath's been around for a long time. So she has this built-in kind of like following, you know what I'm saying, that people are going to mail in know a long time. People just started learning about Booker, you know what I'm saying? And with the suppression from the mainstream media, this is why shows like this are so important, because we put people on like Mr. Booker before they're even known. Saying we went and saw AOC and got pictures with her before they were known. You know, we're doing it now, Shahid, all these other people, but that's why it's so important, because the mainstream media doesn't even let you know that McGrath has a challenger. It's keep quiet, don't say anything, so his name doesn't get out. So his name starts getting out, and very late, people are like, all right, election day, I got to go vote for this guy. He's awesome, and now they close the polls on you.
Yeah. And again, another person posted about the voters being locked out, and again, like
Real quick,
he filed an injunction.
I want to play the audio on
Sure,
this so everyone can hear it, because it's insane.
They're pounding, right?
I think it's honestly, one of the most important things that happened yesterday is him filing this injunction. It raises awareness of what's going on in our voting system, in our elections, and now it gives us the opportunity to say, yes, maybe Republicans are doing it this time, but trust me, I wouldn't be surprised if Democrats like McGrath are also involved, because either way, they'll be fine if she gets in there. Yeah. She probably won't beat Mitch McConnell if she gets in there. Yeah. She won't. I mean, the motivation is to have actual change, and somebody like Charles Booker is going to provide that change. Amy McGrath, the Democrats have really no chance, and I don't think they see that. But it's important to raise awareness about what's going on in our elections, and a popular candidate like that is going to put spotlight on this issue. Yeah. I think that's gonna, it's going to affect more of that from here on out.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. Like, I talked to my friend who was a Trump supporter. He's living in Maine now today, and we talked about this. He goes, see, that's the thing. He's like, Democrats cheat their own base. They cheat their own people. They didn't cheat Donald Trump. They let us elect him. They used every single trick, but we were able to vote him in. But your Democrats, they're going to cheat. And they cheated Bernie, and even though I don't like them, they're going to cheat for McGrath, and they're not going to let him win. And how do you argue that right now when this is a Democratic primary, right? Yeah. And here it is, they're locking people out. How do you stand as a Democrat and say that, you know what I'm saying, that you're just as, you're straight and narrow, you're honest, when you're being just as dishonest? You're a hypocrite. I mean, this is terrible.
And somebody else also mentioned it about the injunction, and let me see what else right here, I think. Okay, so they were just.
What happened in Kentucky?
It was just a little recap. I can't access it, but
we can't get into it, Johnny. It's the Kentucky primary election one. Yeah, that one.
They were just going over everything that happened. We basically all talked about it. The way the votes were suppressed, the way that the polls were cut down, pretty much everything we've mentioned before. So
we saw the suppression on the front end here in you got that one right?
Yeah, we're good.
We saw the suppression here in California. It's an establishment Democratic trick. Mm-hmm. They use it all over the place. Let's keep the late voting out. Let's cause confusion.
Yep.
Therefore we can just blame it on faulty machinery, whatever it can be. It's all done by design. I think Raji Robb said it on the show. Yeah, you had him on, John. It was designed. It did what it was designed to do. The Los Angeles election did what it was designed to do.
And you know what it says here in this article? It says that due to a bipartisan agreement between Republican Secretary of State Michael Adams and Democratic Governor Andy Beshear All registered voters have had the option to request and vote by absentee ballot. According to Bayshore on Monday, more than 883,000 ballots were requested and only 452,000 were sent in by Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
So,
The same thing they did here. They missed 17,000 ballots. Remember, people didn't get the right ballot. They requested their ballot and they never got it. It's these same tricks. That goes from voter suppression. It's also voter suppression to actual election fraud because it is intent. Yeah. The intent is there to keep people from voting. And trust me that it's not just the Republicans in Kentucky who want to keep Booker out. It's the Democratic establishment as well.
Fam, people will get mad at you if you don't say election rigging, because the election fraud is what the Republicans would always say in the day.
That's voter fraud.
Voter fraud.
There's two,
So
it's
sorry.
not the same thing. Yeah,
So,
voter fraud is when the voter does it. Election
fraud is when election rigging, election fraud, same thing.
Yeah,
I believe.
Same difference.
I don't know. Splitting hairs.
And so the New York primary was the other race, the different primaries going on, the other race to
AOC,
watch.
Sweat it.
New York primary election results. Okay, so Johnny, let's go over some of the results that you're seeing there right now.
AOC.
So it looks like AOC's got 27,000 votes, 72% of the votes there. So I'm pretty sure she's completely won that one.
Yeah,
she did.
Small district, by the way.
It's a small district. The voter turnout was actually not that great. Obviously, there's COVID, so that also will take somewhat of a hit. But it was a very, very low voter turnout. Now, AOC, we have a roller coaster relationship with AOC, right? We've criticized her stances on foreign policy, which aren't that great.
Terrible.
We've also
her endorsements.
Her need to go on Twitter and attack Republicans and grandstanding instead of actually standing by actual policy like the CARES Act, Mama Bear Pelosi, all of these things, right? But right now, AOC isn't the enemy. I wouldn't consider her an enemy. I wouldn't put all my efforts to get her replaced. Her opponent that was trying to replace her was an mainstream media correspondent, and she was a neoliberal to the core, and she absolutely got obliterated.
Michelle Caruso?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By AOC. Now, obviously, with Democrats like that, AOC seems, far beyond. The thing we have to do as people is stop the hero worship and make sure that the people are always holding people like her accountable. Even if they seem progressive by comparison, we need to hold them accountable. Yeah. We need to be there watching them, monitoring them. Now, what I hope AOC does, now that she has cemented more of her base, that she actually goes after the Democratic establishment, that she goes after Pelosi, that she shows the same opposition to the establishment Democrats that she shows to Republicans on Twitter. That's what I would like. That's what I would like to see. I'm not holding my breath, but that's what I would like to see.
I don't want to lose heart. I don't know. I'm just like, the Nadler thing was one thing, but maybe she is being a wolf in sheep's clothing for the right reasons against the establishment. Maybe, listen, there's still time for these people to turn and to the squad included, but I want them to start talking to the media that we know. She hasn't gone back on Jimmy Dore or any of the real progressive media. She's kind of hid in the bushes and kind of pushed this away. So I would like to see her go back into that. I'd like to see her get better on foreign policy. You know who I'd like to see her sit down with first? Max Blumenthal. That's the first one. The guy who confronted you in Congress and you say we'll defer to the caucus leadership. Well, as we get into the reasons why, what she said, and we were so disappointed. I mean, I think Rodolfo Barragan even said the most disappointing thing was the fact that she supported Pelosi and rather standing alone. I'd like to see some of that come to fruition. Go talk to Blumenthal. Take an interest in the foreign policy. That's what we really need you to do too as well. Our civil liberties, all these things that we've kind of gotten a little bit more establishment-like. Well, pivot the other way. That's what we'd like to see. Is there time?
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know.
Endorse Shahid Buttar.
That's the thing.
That would be a huge thing.
A lot of
she
these
won't do
people
it. Mama Bear?
did not endorse Shahid Buttar. Why? Because Shahid Buttar is running against the most
Nancy
powerful
Pelosi.
Democrat in this country right now. Nancy Pelosi is it. And so you haven't seen any of these people endorse him, which is a mistake. That just shows you that they're still willing to play the game to make sure that they're still okay with Nancy Pelosi. And I am wary of somebody who got Nancy Pelosi's endorsement. Yeah. Even though she appears progressive on paper, whatever. She got Nancy Pelosi's endorsement for a reason.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean? So
Nancy Pelosi did endorse, I believe, McGrath.
exactly.
I believe, you know what I'm saying?
No, she did. So
And, well, AOC was, she did Booker, right? So she
AOC
also,
endorsed Booker?
I think so, but I know
Okay,
she
I wasn't
definitely,
aware if she did.
she
She
definitely
endorsed Jamal Brown. I know that.
I know that for sure. I
Bauman,
think she
yeah.
might have endorsed Booker too. I got to take a look, but she did
Okay.
endorse Bauman. Let's talk about Mr. Bauman. So
Yeah, so Jamal Bauman, this was a very, this to me was one of the other, the biggest race
This is
in
the
New
biggest
York,
one.
bigger than AOC's, because we are talking about removing a warmonger in
yep.
Engel. I mean, this guy, Elliot Engel, was endorsed both by Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer, among, of course, the neoliberal establishment elite.
Yes.
And he is just terrible. His record is absolutely disastrous.
He's a Syrian, anti-Assad. I mean, one of the most, the biggest pusher when it comes to the whole Syrian conflict was just green lighting that thing left and right. So.
And this is New York's District 16. It's nearby AOC's district, if I'm not mistaken.
Goes into Westchester a little bit.
Yeah, Westchester.
Mostly Yankee territory once again, so
Yeah.
I don't pay as much attention to it as
I'm a Yankees fan,
Fam, do not do that to me right now. Mets, baby.
No, Yankees all the way, fam. Okay, see my New York mug. Okay, so I wanted to read this part of this really good article on who Engel was,
Yeah.
okay? Because this is the most important thing about this race. Engel's campaign had secured the most important establishment endorsements from Hillary Clinton to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. But it wasn't enough to hold off Bauman, who ran on an anti-poverty, anti-racist platform and had endorsed policies which were central to Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign, from Medicare for All to a Green New Deal. Engel, on the other hand, was most known for being one of the most hawkish Democrats. He voted for the Iraq War against the Iran nuclear deal and attempted to stall growing movement in Congress to end United States support for the war in Yemen. That is the most disgusting thing. Engel also received donations from corporate PACs of weapons manufacturers like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon and Boeing.
Wow.
So there you go.
We're losing a good person in Congress right now. He gets money from the right people and stuff like that. And like I said, not on that list. Syrian conflict. Just look him up. I think Aaron Matei made the tweet about him, and when it came to Syria, he just would not want to listen to what's going on. And by the way, we're still sanctioning Syria. We're still sanctioning North Korea. We're still sanctioning Venezuela. We're still sanctioning these countries. So we're still, even in COVID, an act of war, and still putting our foot on the neck. You know what I'm saying? And people like Elliot Engel were made it possible for these policies to continue on because they were on the left, supposedly the left. I don't even know about the left, right, center anymore, fam. I'm so confused because our imperialist democratic establishment.
Fam, I think there's two sides. There's evil and good. I am just going to simplify it for you too. There's that battle going on too. But yeah, I mean, this is a huge defeat.
It is.
Even if Bauman isn't perfect on every single thing, this is awesome. I mean, to get this man Engel out of power, and I want to see Hillary Clinton's tears, and I want her to continue endorsing more candidates, so that way we know that they're trash. Because I think a lot of people saw that, Hillary Clinton endorsed. Okay, no, we got to pick this guy because any person that's endorsed by Hillary Clinton must be trash. And so that's it. I just think it's awesome.
And you think about how powerful Hillary Clinton is in New York. When I talked to my boy Prince AG in New Hampshire, when he was down there, he was like, dude, Hillary Clinton's got a stronghold. There's a lot of neoliberals in New York and stuff like that. So the fact that she endorsed him and he, Engel, and he lost.
It just shows
shows you the tide's turning really deep.
The tide's turning.
But I'm still kind of like,
New York figured out at the very least, what we can't do here is how to get rid of the old guard. They have years and years and years of of activism there. And also a lot of the people there, the pockets are a lot of minorities, and it's just completely conflicting with the old guard that that just could not grab a hold of that power. They thought they had it secure. They thought they didn't have to work anymore, and they were able to really go after them in a way that we haven't done here in LA yet.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Aren't you a little suspicious of it? Because AOC was not the person I thought she would be. Once again, I don't think she's the enemy, like you said, but she's very much in this gray area where it's like, you endorsed the wrong people, you stood by the wrong people. We put you there to fight these people. You're joining them. However, you've had moves here and there where it's like, okay, that's pretty good, that's pretty decent and stuff like that. But I'm very suspicious of them allowing Crowley to die because I still believe that they have all these, when it comes to our elections, I believe they have a strong hold on them.
Absolutely.
So why would they allow Crowley to be defeated? Was it that much of a tsunami? The tsunami we thought would happen with Bernie Sanders? Is Jamal Bowman one of those guys where they say, oh, well, you know what? Let's let him go because he'll play ball. Now, I love his anti-poverty message, but all these candidates, including Mr. Booker, who I love, Charles Booker over there, really don't talk about imperialism that much. They don't talk about foreign policy. They don't talk about civil liberties.
That's what gets you killed.
Yes, but he's talking about elections, Booker, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
So I'm very suspicious when they allow some progressives, they say, go through, because if the progressives are for a Green New Deal and Medicare for all, maybe that's okay, but it's the ones who talk about the foreign policy and the civil liberties and the way our media is being controlled. Those are the ones that I really, really like. So there's more for me to look at when it comes to a Jamal Bowman because I'm suspicious of them allowing him to win.
Absolutely.
We should call them true rebels instead of progressives.
Yep.
True rebels.
Yeah, true rebels. And we got a network for that.
The 3 pillars of true rebel.
Yeah.
Foreign policy, domestic policy. And
a lot of the corporatists too also liked Jamal. People like Warren and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't really like right now since he's so new. Like he has the ability to do anything. He still has to win the general, but I'm pretty sure that's a sure win in New York.
Hard,
I mean,
not to lose it. I mean, if they let a Republican come in, there'd have to be some type of populist center.
What is it? Redistricting,
gerrymandering, and all that stuff. But it's funny that in the that Kevin Spacey movie, the show when he played the president and stuff like that.
House of Cards.
House of Cards. There was one scene where he was in a room and he was running against. He goes. You're a Republican in New York. He goes, which pretty much makes you a Democrat. And he goes, well, you're a Democrat in South Carolina. He goes, which pretty much makes you a Republican. Right. So, you got to think about that when you think about those things. But,
it's true.
So something to keep in mind.
Exactly. And so Qasim Rashid was another one that won. This, I don't really know too much about this person, but they did beat the establishment. Ilhan Omar gave a shout out to AOC, Jamal, Richie Torres, Mondaire Jones, and Qasim Rashid and Cameron Webb. These are all the people she gave a shout out to. And he quoted John Lewis here, which is interesting. You must find a way to get in the way and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. You have a moral obligation, a mission, and a mandate when you leave here to go out and seek justice for all. You can do it. You must do it. And Qasim Rashid was running for District 1 in Virginia. So
followed by Lauren Ashcroft. So Ashcraft, what happened with her in her race?
She did not win. She did not win so far. Yeah.
How was it? Do we get a number on that? I couldn't open up that New York Times thing. It wouldn't let me block it. But anyways, we should look into that later on. She was on the show. We should see how she did. We should probably reach back out with her and say hi. I liked her. She was a pretty good.
She was awesome.
Pretty good candidate.
We still have a few progressives running, including I think New Jersey, Washington,
Cicerone, our boy.
And what else? We have a couple.
We have California. We have a couple people that we have to keep an eye
Florida,
on too as well.
Obviously.
Florida is another one. Listen. Now that the COVID is, I don't want to say it's winding down and stuff like that, but we get a little bit more freedom. We see a lot of candidates reaching out to us and people reaching out to us to talk to candidates. I think we'll get a little shock of back to the electoral season that was kind of put on pause. I mean, we were approaching this. New York and Kentucky had a primary yesterday, and everybody was kind of asleep at the wheel because we've been so COVIDed and like, well, how's the voting process going to go? But it looks like it's waking up again, fam, for the home stretch, and maybe we'll get some more candidates on, and we'll give a little shock to the electoral season and get it back up.
I just pulled up Lauren Ashcraft. It looks like 13%.
Far back in the pack. Suraj Patel.
This is the other 2018 rematch pitting Representative Carolyn Maloney, 74, against challenger Suraj Patel, who won more than 40% of the vote last time.
Look at this.
So she.
See, why is she running in that race?
She cut into the neoliberal. I read that she did cut into the neoliberals.
She took some of the neoliberal vote?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Really? She didn't take away votes for. I don't want to say take away votes. It's her right to run. My bad. Not having that language and stuff.
Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn.
I mean, yeah.
There's not a progressive though that won that was close to winning though.
Who's Suraj Patel? We got to look into Suraj, see who that is.
I don't think that's a progressive from what I read, but
Suraj Patel 2020. No, he's with Obama. Get it off. Get it off. Get it off. Turn it. Fuck it. Turn it off. Get it off. Hurry up. Come on. Fam, you were so right. Why don't I just listen to you?
I don't know. The world would be a better place, fam.
Oh, have I missed
Wait.
any? I know, but I wanted to make sure if I say any super chats real quick.
Suraj is a progressive Obama Democrat running to get corporate PAC money and out of politics and to restore the promise in New York.
The promise. When they start using jargon like restore the promise of New York, that's when you know there's a big buzz.
God, that made me nauseous.
What does that
real
mean?
quick.
Restore the promise of New York.
Oh
like,
my.
give people rent relief. Give people health care.
So
We
it's a
don't care about
neoliberal
your
battle
dumbass promise.
It's just a neoliberal
Yeah,
battle
it's a
over there?
neoliberal battle. Yeah. So,
Monday
another thing, I
Jones.
just want to say thank you, Lauren Ashcraft, for running. It takes courage to run. There's a lot of neoliberals that
That's
were running.
neoliberal land.
Yeah, it's
They're
difficult.
fighting for which
I
neoliberal.
hope she doesn't stop running. I mean, I think it's important that she continues to do it because I read that she definitely did take votes away from the incumbent. So I think that's important. I think it's important.
She almost let the other neoliberal in.
She was great. I mean, our
She was
interview,
good.
I remember she was keen on foreign policy. She was
okay
aware.
on
She was
foreign
aware.
policy.
She was aware.
She was aware. She was definitely aware. She was
Yeah.
okay. Her message was pretty good. I mean, we didn't really touch into a lot of civil liberties. She was, I mean, that area is going to take such a kind of weird, fugazi, populist, center-right candidate. You know what I'm saying? It's Manhattan. You know what I'm saying? It's got a big chunk of that area over there. There's so much money involved.
Yeah.
It's going to take a very peculiar
I don't
person.
think
to even try-
I don't
even
think
that's
it's
an
going to
area you
take a
wanna go and
center-right
fight in,
candidate.
It's
I don't
tough.
think it's going to take a center-right candidate. I mean, I just think it's going to be more difficult to win.
It's Wall Street
I think I think we're just gonna have to see more of New York get taken over. I think it's we're going in the right direction. Mondaire Jones is another one. He's a Warren Democrat, but he beat a neoliberal, which
You
is
have it up
good.
right there. I'm so sorry.
And let me see here. So Pramila Jayapal thanked him and said, "Congratulations to my friend Mondaire Jones, who was also endorsed by Warren, on this big win last night. This is a victory for New York, a victory for America, a victory for our progressive movement. Looking forward to fighting alongside you in Congress." And Mondaire Jones is another black man. And New York's 17th district. So again, these districts that are close to each other, you're seeing a little bit of the tide shift because you're seeing people actually be motivated to vote for somebody else. Exactly. He was a former Obama DOJ, which is why I said in my latest tweet, I don't consider everybody who won necessarily progressive, but I do see that more and more people are starting to pay attention. And my whole point is, just because New York had a decent wins and because what we're seeing in Kentucky doesn't mean you guys leave it there and think that everything's going to change because these people got in and they're better than Pelosi and Schumer. What it means is you need to continue fighting in the streets because this is slow. This is we don't have power in the electorate right now. We have more power in the streets. So don't forget for a second to continue fighting in the streets because that's where our power is.
Take it local, baby.
And better than the neoliberal? Yes. Is he totally progressive? No, not based on what I've read.
That's the argument. Are we taking one step forward and two steps back? Because it's like when we're replacing, when people get comfortable, oh, we got that personality. Yeah, but you got a semi-neoliberal Democrat in there. And Pramila has just always been endorsing the worst people at all times, from endorsing Biden to Adam Smith against Sarah Smith.
I mean, she
still
did
haven't
endorse
forgiven her
Bernie
for that.
first, but
still, once again, you can't excuse these other endorsements. That Sarah Smith one to me was the biggest kick in the you-know-what. She went and endorsed Adam Smith, who was a warmonger, who had money
that's
from
the thing.
defense
It's the
contractors
foreign
left and
policy.
right. When you have a progressive on the ground in Sarah Smith and you don't stand behind her,
they also
really
take into
disheartening.
account they take into account the likelihood, the probability of the win. They don't want people. I'm just telling you how they think. They don't want people. They don't want to accumulate endorsements for a lot of losses. So they're very careful on who they endorse. And also military industrial complex, fam. That's something that very, very few people are in opposition to right now
Oh,
in Congress, which is why this isn't a revolution. I saw a lot of people say, "Oh, this is not a revolution." You can't have a revolution within the Democratic Party. That doesn't happen. Yeah. What you're having is a little bit of reform. You're seeing a little bit of the slow process of shifting from the old guard. But the revolution is in the streets. That's going to happen with the people. That's not going to come from any politician in Congress or the president at all. It's going to come from people taking to the streets. What we're seeing now, that's the real revolution. So again, don't for a second back off. Monitor these people as they continue and as they enter, and don't make the same mistakes you did with Obama, with Elizabeth Warren. Don't continue to give these people a pass. Our job is to hold them accountable. Our job isn't to be their cheerleaders or their sycophants. So let's remember that.
I hear you. And speaking of foreign policy, I think it's time we get to it, fam. You have anything else to do about the election? That's the election wrap-up. That's a great one. We'll have that whole video chopped up and clipped up.
I will give a shout-out. I forgot to put it into a friend of mine who I had lunch with a long time ago when we went to CAOC. His name is Jabari Brisport. He won state senate for his primary in New York. Vegan, very, very progressive. Congratulations to him. Teacher, really, really great that he won the primary. So we'll see what happens.
And special shout out to Pastor Jardula for being voted the best looking person on the comment couch. Thank you very much for all those who voted. Just kidding. Having a good time.